Okay, so Valve sent me a Steam machine today, and this is the part where Brad would usually go, huh? But he's still out on a family matter. So the cold open is just me today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Steam machine, give some first impressions, and then we're going to move on to the real show. I'll have a full episode next week. I just got it in too late to give it the time that I needed to do a real evaluation, and decided to go with Plan B instead. So we'll talk about the Steam machine on next week's episode. Unfortunately, that's after the pre-order window opens for anybody who's interested in it. My guess is that there's probably not all that many people who have access to pre-ordering it, so it'll probably be fine. But the first impression is really positive. Pricing stuff aside, which we'll talk about in the full episode next week, the hardware feels much more like a console than any PC I've ever plugged into my living room. It does the console stuff, like it does one set of updates. So the system updates everything all at once. There's no kind of, hey, I have to update the OS, I have to update Steam, I have to update, drivers, whatever. You just hit a button every once in a while and it does the update. You can power it on by pressing a button on your Steam controller. You can, it'll do the HDMI CEC stuff to change the inputs on your TV and receiver. You can change the volume from inside on the TV, from inside the Steam UI. That stuff is working really, really well. And generally speaking, the games that play on the Steam Deck are playing fine on it as well. I kind of got into some of this stuff on Nextlander this week with Vinny and Alex, but I've been really pleasantly surprised by how easy it is to launch games and to kind of dig into like how much it gets out of your way and just lets you play the games. Other stuff to talk about on the kind of first impressions, the box experience was really nice. They packed it in a bunch of cardboard. It's all recyclable. They sent me the more expensive kit with the 2 terabytes of storage and the 2 faceplates, a red cloth one and a brown wood one. Both of those faceplates magnet on, so you can just pop the front one off and pop them on and off really easily. The noise on it is very, very low. I haven't heard it spin up yet, even when I was playing what I would consider modern console games. Like, let's see, I played a lot of 007. I played a fair amount of High on Life 2, which is a relatively new release. And all of the kind of stuff I've played just kind of works. I haven't heard the fan from where I sit across the room 8 or 10 feet. It doesn't turn off the TV when you turn off the console or put the console to sleep. Oh, other things it can do. It can sleep and save the state in your game and then resume and the game comes back. That hasn't failed at all on me, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, like it's a pretty console-y experience for a personal computer, especially one that's running Linux. I haven't done any kind of Linux desktop work with it yet. I haven't gone to install anything. I haven't installed the glorious eggroll versions of Proton. I haven't installed Heroic or any of that kind of stuff. I haven't installed Decky Loader. I'm just using it as I would a console so far. So the stuff to test for next week that I haven't gotten a chance to look at yet, which I really do want to spend some time on before we do the episode, are things like, hey, how does the desktop work? Can you actually use this as a real computer? I need to pop it open and see whether I got one of the 2 8-gig stick models or the 1 16-gig stick models. I didn't notice any kind of performance hits, so maybe the running single channel RAM thing really isn't a big deal. But yeah, so that's I want to dig into that. I want to look at things like how the different faceplates perform in terms of noise and stuff like that. I'm looking for Easter eggs still. There's a couple of things you can change the startup video. You can set the startup video to launch every time you resume from sleep, or you can set it to never show when you resume from sleep, which I thought was interesting. It has a little LED on the front. You can control that. I made mine look like, depending on who you ask, either a Cylon or Knight Rider. It just kind of swishes back and forth with a red light. It's been a really pleasant experience so far, and I gotta say, it's much more polished. I guess I didn't get a Steam Deck at launch because there was a pretty good wait list on that, but I got the Steam Deck when it was maybe 6 months old, the first one, and this feels much more polished than that did even then. So this is definitely benefiting from the subsequent few years of Steam Deck and Steam OS development. Now, There are a few things I noticed that are very decky. I think the system, the name of the system when I looked at it on the network is still Steam Deck. Obviously I'm using this pre-release, so I'm still seeing what I assume are much more frequent updates from Valve for the system than you will on the shipping machine. So I've had a couple, 2 or 3 updates. The Steam controller, the puck, all of that stuff is updating frequently. I did manage. I tested out the Steam controller working with multiple radios. So now I have a Steam controller that's paired with both my desktop PC in my office and with the Steam machine, and you switch between those two by holding down either the right bumper or left bumper, the A button while you press the Steam button to wake up the controller. And that's actually a really incredibly convenient feature coming from like PlayStation and Xbox controllers that don't have any kind of similar functionality. Other stuff that I need to test before next week. I haven't used any other controllers with this yet. I've exclusively been using the Steam machine controllers, or the Steam controller, the 2nd gen Steam controller. I want to make sure I test Xbox and PlayStation controllers, and as well as the 8-bit Do gamepad that I use on the reg. And then I want to run a couple of benchmarks. Like I said, the performance. I think somebody on Giant Bomb the other day described it as cromulent. The performance is cromulent, which is exactly right. Like it is entirely capable, nothing special. It like feels like vanilla current gen console to me in a positive kind of sense. So to get some actual numbers there so we can talk a little bit about that. But we have a guest coming to talk about that next week. We might even see if we can get some couple of people in for that one. And that's pretty much it. That's what I got. So there's a quick, let's say 5 or 6 minutes on what I think about the Steam machine so far. We'll have a full episode about it next week where we'll dig into the pricing stuff. I think the pricing is, we talked about this on Nextlander a lot. I think, I haven't done the full exercise yet, and I haven't really dug in and tried a bunch of different options. I think it would be really hard to beat this price by more than $50 or $75, which is more of a testament to how bad the hardware market is than the work that Valve did. But we'll talk about that in next week's episode, I'm sure. I guess this is where I usually say something funny, like this time in the machine steams you. Welcome to Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod. I'm Will. As I said in the cold open, Brad's still out on a family matter, and this week I am really, really stoked to welcome a new guest to the show. Our guest this week is a senior writer at PC Mag, a co-host of both the Material podcast and Android Faithful, and also was an intern at Maximum PC roughly 100 years ago when I was still at Maximum PC. Welcome to the Flow Show. Welcome to the show, Flo.
I love that. The Flow Show. Finally, somebody gives me a show.
Hi. So people over the years have accused us of not talking about Android and Google stuff enough on this podcast, because both Brad was a Windows Phone guy for a really long time, and then he became an iPhone person again. Yeah, I know. Never forget. But now we're back, and you've done Android stuff for years. You do a podcast in addition to the stuff at PC Mag. You do a podcast with Andy Nako. You talk about Android stuff and what's going on with Google and all that. And I am curious to hear
and what Android Faithful, by the way.
Of course, that's with our friends over at DTNS, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, we love them.
Correct.
We're big fans over here. I miss doing my Tuesdays over there. I used to come on Tuesdays occasionally and chat, and then I started doing PC World
That's
stuff.
Interesting. So. Android Faithful's on Tuesdays. If only you used Android, then you could have something else on your Tuesday slots.
Look, I'm like a Linux is like halfway Android at this point, or Android is halfway Linux. But
you've been an iPhone person since I met you as a little intern. So
I did when the Pixel came out. I bought a Pixel 1 and I used that for a year. And then I bought a Pixel 2, and my wife, who I love dearly, was like, "Hey, you're messing up the group chats. This was back when that was still a problem.
I know.
And then as a result, for marital harmony, I made my choice and I bought an iPhone 10 because also it was shiny and new. And then I haven't been back since. So, but Google I/O was last month and you were there. You were also at WWDC.
I was.
And I'm kind of curious. Like, first off, I want to start off with, like, what's the vibe at one of these developer conferences now? I haven't been to one in person in a long time. And they used to be really like ebullient, enthusiastic places where people were really hyped up to be there. And like, it felt like a place like, okay, Microsoft Build was never like that. But like the WWDC and the Google I/O crowds were all people that were really like, they were true believers. It was like Tim Cook or Steve Jobs would stand up on the stage at WWDC. Larry and Sergey would stand up at Google I/O, and it was like they were preaching to the faithful. And is it still, do you still have that vibe there? Or is it just like, yo, work made me come to this conference kind of situation, or somewhere in between?
That is a really interesting question. It feels, by the way, like months ago that I went to those conferences because they took over my life. And I got like fully ensconced in the worlds. I will say the people that are more of the fans that you would say is WWDC, because Apple still has like a really, like, the fan base is so loyal. They will find any reason to continue loving Apple. Like, Apple could start a world war and it wouldn't matter.
See, that you say that.
And I have accepted that. Like, I've accepted that there is something about this ethos that really speaks to people on a very deep psychological level that nothing else does in this world. And you absolutely get that being at WWDC. I dress differently for WWDC. I do my makeup different. Like, my demeanor is very different. I'm a different flow. I code switch to be there versus on the Google campus.
Okay, I got to dig into this in a second, but like, it was unclear to me if they still invite
about me, but yeah.
Do they still invite, like, there's still people that come to WWDC in person, right?
Yes, developers, lots of them.
It's because like when they moved
hordes
to the campus,
of them going, yeah, as they walk down Cupertino streets.
Okay, and it's just like a bunch of instead of the bunch of nerds walking around Moscone. Like, we used to play a game when we would go to WWDC at Maximum PC where we were like, is this person talking to themselves? Is this a person talking to themselves, or do they have like an AirPod in and they're on the phone? Because you often couldn't tell from behind, but you could hear the muttering. And it was most often somebody with the headphone in, but sometimes it was just somebody with the Think Different shirt that was talking to themselves and joyously. Is it still that same vibe, or is this like app developer hipsters these days?
Well, hipsters aren't around anymore because they went out with millennials. Now we're with the Gen Z. I don't know what they're called now.
This is like the 6-7 kids now. Is that where we're at? Is it
that's
a bunch
Gen
of like,
Alpha?
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
I'm learning this too, man. I'm just learning.
Look, I have a teenager. I know all this.
I know I'm no longer the dominant generation, so I've had to come to terms with that. No, but in all sincerity, I would say that like there's more of that on the Apple side of things than there is on the Google side of things. And let me say, part of that has to do with the AI. Since the Gemini talk has really taken over the show, and they plucked Android out of the main keynote and they made it like its own pre-week keynote. So now you have the Android show that comes out a week before the very public. I mean, it's still public. Like, they still put it on YouTube and they live stream it, but it's for the Android developers who are going into the code, who are using the source code, who are submitting apps to the Play Store. Like, that's who that is for. And then now Google I/O is about, here's what you're going to build with Gemini. Here's what Gemini is going to do for you. And the crowd has really changed. It used to be really, sorry, I'm like on a roll now because I'm reliving it. So, but the crowd has really changed over the past couple of years, because this was my 13th Google I/O.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
started at Moscone and
yeah, well, so now they do Google I/O down at Shoreline. I wondered, like, one of the things that I've noticed in game stuff lately is that the industry for traditional like video games, console and PC games, is pretty evenly split between people who are a lot younger than me and people who are my age. There's not a whole lot of in-betweens. The millennials, it's like the elder millennials and the very young millennials and the Gen Z around. And there's not a lot of people in their like early 40s at this point anymore. which is weird to me. Like it's like that whole generation skipped making video games for probably good reasons, because it seems like a disaster as an industry now.
That's interesting.
And then the tech spaces seem to be the same. Like I look at the people on stage at like a tech keynote, and it's a bunch of people that look more like me than like somebody in their 20s at this point. And I don't know exactly, like, I don't know if this is selection bias and I'm just seeing it because I see people who look like me and like there's a lot of us around, it turns out. Or
especially,
I mean, white guys with glasses and beards all look the same. We've known that for a long time. But I wonder if it's just because my generation has accidentally aged into being in charge of things despite our best efforts not to, or if it's that the youngs aren't going into these jobs anymore because they don't perceive them as like the desirable good jobs, for kind of a lot of good reason, given the layoff situation in both tech and games over the last decade, 5 years, whatever.
I mean, it would be a little of column A and B at that point, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's interesting you say that. I've been coming to that point where I'm meeting all these new people and they are so much younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I'm feeling like that now. Like,
yeah.
Now I'm starting to miss out on reference, like things are kind of flying over my head. I'm like, that's not good.
You got to get into what the kids are into. You got to start playing Adopt Me and Roblox.
And so I've been hanging out around them, like in the press room, which I don't want to, but it's necessary for the job to do that kind of bit of social engineering. And so now we have influencers in the press room.
Wow.
And in the beginning, I was definitely very gatekeepy. I was like, what the heck are you doing here? Like, you guys are just noisy and annoying. And like, some of us are trying to work. Some of us have degrees. But yeah, but that was just,
take your selfie stick and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, it was just my own insecurities, because at the end of the day, like, we're both producing content for for someone or something, for some audience. It's just very different what they do versus what I do, but it's still like a ton of freaking work. And it's because I had to start incorporating some of their work. And so hanging around them, it becomes a little bit of a sponge, but it definitely skews younger. It definitely skews younger, because that's what their generation picked up to do with work.
I guess that's the answer to the question, is that generation went out and they all became influencers instead of, getting grown-up jobs.
They are, a lot of them just, it's a side hustle too for a lot of them, because they'll have a main hustle and then they'll have the influencer hustle, There's
nothing more Gen Z than having 3 jobs.
Yeah, I know.
So Google I/O is more about AI. Can we talk about the Android stuff a little bit? I've been told that there are at least dozens of Android users in the TechPod audience, despite our best efforts, Brad and my best efforts.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Just a dozen.
Flo made a face there.
3 billion devices, but go on.
They used to be excited about that. They used to be main stage worthy, but now it's like kick us off to the B stage where the Silver Sun pickups are.
Because they can get a bigger measurement through saying how many devices have Gemini.
Yeah, how many tokens have you spent today, Flo?
Noticed I've been running into the token limit. It's been annoying me because they limited us with this last Google I/O. They started limiting the tokens, and now I'm like in the middle of a research project, and then suddenly it's like, sorry, babe, you ran out of tokens for the day. You're gonna have to go down to flashlight.
Oh, I don't even know what that means, but that sounds bad.
They downgrade you from Gemini Pro to Gemini Flashlight, which is like the lightest chatbot. It's the lightest knowledge graph. It's become a big part of the Android experience. And it's hard to talk about because people are like, oh, that means you like it. And I'm like, it's a part of the platform now. And I really need to understand this beast is really what I'm studying it. It's like, I'm surveying it, I'm doing my own little A/B testing.
You're doing it in research, but actually for real, not just the way people mean when they say it online.
And I'm actually giving Google all that data so I know what they're going to do with it.
Well, it's funny because it's one of the things that's kind of pushed me away from Google over the last few years, even on terms of like desktop services.
Push a lot more people away.
Yeah, because my experience has been, the generative stuff has its own problems. We've talked about to death on the podcast. We don't need to get into that. But even like the interpretive stuff, so like the stuff that they're putting in the Google, the tops of searches and stuff like that, kind of sucks it's not when it's good, it's fine. But when it's wrong, it's usually hilariously bad. And I just don't trust it. I fundamentally don't trust the stuff that they're feeding me in the Google searches and like the mail notification summaries and all the different places. And so I've shifted my usage to places that I don't have to deal with that, which is like my personal choice. And I'm lucky that I'm an independent contractor. So I work inside the spaces that people provide me. And then for my own stuff, I can do whatever the hell I want, which is nice. Okay, so WWDC, I mean, Google I/O is almost all AI people at this point. I like what you're walking around Shoreline. For folks who don't know, Google I/O happens at Shoreline Amphitheater down south on the peninsula, which is a place that you go to see Jimmy Buffett and like Jimmy Eat World, and I guess there's other bands that start with Jimmy.
I actually saw Jimmy Eat World there last summer.
Yeah.
Yes, that's unfortunately where I got COVID, but yes.
It's like one of the big open air amphitheaters. It has seats in the front, lawn in the back, and then there's a bunch of like hot dog and corn dog stands as you walk through to get to the arena.
During the developer conference.
Of course they are. They
get catering. They get outside catering to come instead.
Okay.
And the thing is, for the developers, it's fun because they have all these like places where you can like sit. You're picnicking and you're meeting people and you're networking, and they're having talks about everything from Chrome to Gemini to Android development. So it's not, there's sandboxes. This year they had, what was the bit from Arrested Development with the banana stand?
Yeah, there's always cats in the banana stand.
Yeah, they had chocolate covered bananas, the chocolate covered nano bananas.
Okay. Is Nano the name of the new Android or something? Is this the snack food that they don't do that anymore, right?
The generative art thing. It's called Nano Banana.
Oh, that's why the banana was on all the stuff. When I watched the videos, I didn't get that because I watched the recaps and they didn't put the joke in the recap, but the joke was everywhere. And I was confused.
The joke is a big part of it. The Nano Banana joke. She's very high up, but she came up with it in a very cute way, mind you. It is a very cute story, but it is a big part of the branding to make it more palatable for people. It's, let's make it like, let's give it a mascot. And instead of saying this is version number whatever, we'll say this is the new Nano Banana.
This is the image generator thing.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the one that you use inside Gboard. It's the one that you use anytime you do an image generator in Google's ecosystem. It's Nano Banana.
It's a terrible name, Flo.
It's cute.
Okay. I mean, look.
It's supposed to be cute.
Naming stuff is hard. I'm not gonna judge.
And yes, and these, computer scientists. So
yeah. Like the thing about Google always was that like you go to Apple or Microsoft or whatever, and Microsoft seems like it's people in Dockers and golf shirts, and Google is like,
at least Microsoft had Coca-Cola, okay, actually, and so did Apple, thank God.
What did they have? Pepsi at Shoreline? Isn't it a Shoreline venue?
Yes. And then in the press room, they didn't have any soda. They didn't have LaCroix.
The influencers don't drink bubbles, man. It's just kombucha and okay, so the main stage conference was all AI stuff. It was all like Gemini. I saw a lot of stuff about the Gemini, the 4.5, 3.5, something 0.5.
I think it's just Gemini 4 now.
Okay.
4.5? I don't know.
Does it matter the variants? Like
it does because the higher you go, the more powerful it is with what you can do with it and what you can feed it.
And the more tokens you spend per query.
Yeah, exactly. But the more it can do and the more it'll think. It'll take longer to process, but it'll think harder and more and then use more resources.
Yeah.
To give you an answer.
And like it seemed like the big brunt of the Android stuff this year was new ways that they can jam the AI stuff into the Gemini stuff into Android. So for me, somebody who kind of actively has ignored this stuff, Gemini is the overarching AI brand, right? And then all the other stuff lives up under that, but also they're jamming Gemini into every service that I've ever used from Google, it seems like at this point.
Okay, so here's the way to think about it. And I actually had a chat with the VP of Android development about this a couple of weeks ago. Because I asked him myself, I said, what So what is Gemini to the Android operating system? And he's just like, it's an agent. That's all you have to think about it. So yes, it's in Google's version of Android, and Google has managed to bring Samsung on board and all the other manufacturers that want to play within its ecosystem will include some of that stuff, but the real agent is just contained within Gemini. And it's such a big part of the Google ecosystem. So the more Google you go with your phone, the more Gemini you sort of invite in.
So, okay. So this is, I'm going to ask a really stupid question now, and you can laugh. It's fine. But when Google, in the olden times, back when
Yeah.
I used to have a Samsung phone, Samsung took the basic Android kernel and then put all of their own stuff on top of it with mixed results. It was kind of up and down for a long
It's
time.
very different now.
Okay.
So, and actually, what's really interesting is what you're describing has been a big friction point for a lot of Samsung, like diehard Samsung users, because they liked the stuff like the ability to change the font and all these other things that you could do. But Samsung very slowly has been taking that out every time. So, Android, the actual Android OS, they've been doing a lot of foundational work on it.
Google has.
Google has, that's
Yeah.
right. For it to sort of be able to scale everywhere, like that was always the goal, was for the Android to be the thing that scales everywhere. It's the
Yeah.
little thing you plug in, and then you plug in Google into that.
It's like the Linux kernel for
Yeah.
for client devices. Basically, it was
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Their thing is called One UI.
Okay.
So it's an interface on top of Android, built on
So it's
top
like a
of
launcher
Android.
skin or something like that.
It's more than a skin.
Okay.
It is Android.
Yeah.
It is Android in Samsung's way, but when you do that, you get like Bixby, you get the Samsung AI stuff, and you get Gemini, and now you get Perplexity.
What's Perplexity? Is that the Claude stuff?
It's Claude. You're right. It's Claude. I
Claude.
forgot. That's his name. See, I
Look, I feel less bad for this being inscrutable because it's a lot. Like the whole thing is.
I'm just still getting a hang of Gemini because I have to understand it in some sense to understand what is happening with Android.
So, okay, so Gemini's the bucket for all the AI stuff at Google. They're
Mhm.
jamming it into everything that they make. It seems like that's the core. Google views that as the core product that they make at this point, and then everything else seems secondary. Is the vibe I get?
Oh, that's 1000%.
Okay.
Yes.
And
I mean,
people
it's written right there in front of you when they took Android out of the keynote.
Yeah, well, but also, like, it seems like by this point, Meta would have renamed their company to Gemini if they were Google, right? Like
No,
this,
because Google still, I think the Google brand,
it's still a sub brand under Alphabet. I looked it up before we started talking about this.
it does, but Alphabet is the investor. It's the investor folder. Like when you think of Alphabet, you never talk about Alphabet as an entity.
Yeah,
It's just the investor folder, and Google is the big brand name. That's the big brand that's behind everything. So, like, when I tell people Google is behind Waymo, they're like, "Oh, yeah."
People
Google.
don't know that? That's wild to me.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who have no idea about all this like tech oligarchy that exists. To which I say, I'm so jealous.
At this point, it's funny because like living in the space, I always assume that everybody knows. Like I assume that the people who are into these things know the things that are common. Like, hey, RAM cost 4 times what it did this time last year. And it turns out the people who understand that and know that and have internalized that are just a tiny, they're the bubbles of sea foam on top of a very deep ocean of people who are
1000%.
blissfully unaware. Yeah.
It was perfect metaphor, by the way, for the Bay Area, because there's a lot of that.
Look, there's going to be a lot of people that are really surprised that their iPhones or their Pixels cost $2,000 this year, I think.
I am asking myself if I'm going to upgrade, because I upgrade every year just so that I'm on the latest Pixel and that I own it. So it's my phone that I'm using. But even I'm wondering to myself, like, am I really going to want to do that? I probably will still do it for the bit. It's an anecdote at the end of the day. But I won't be happy about it.
So it's funny. I used to be an every year upgrader, and now I just do it every 2 or 3 years, and it turns out I'm fine.
It's
Not,
it's because I cover phones. If I did
yeah,
not cover phones the way that I do, I think I would be a lot more lax on it. And I miss being that way. I do. But
yeah. Okay, so what's happening in Android? Is there anything interesting happening in Android that's not AI? I guess is my big $1 million question.
should we ask Gemini?
No, that's the problem.
I'm kidding.
Flo, I'm paying for Coggy now. I switched search for I've switched search a couple of times in the past 10 years, but I have stopped using Google on the day to day because I literally I can't remember what I asked now, but I asked it something and it gave me an answer and I was like, this is absolutely ludicrous. I'm going to signal my dislike of this new technology by disengaging as much as possible. I know that Cocky has an AI tier. I'm not paying for the AI tier. I'm just using the give me search like it's 2010 tier because like I want to go back to the good days, the good times.
You know, there's you could use the URL.
Yeah, it's enough of a pain in the butt to make that happen. That the UTM 14 or whatever.
The other thing is they put it right there in the little carousel at the top. So you're supposed to scroll over to web mode and click into it.
Too many clicks.
I know.
I just want to type something in my browser location bar.
But back to your question.
Yeah.
Android is still the most customizable mobile operating system.
Okay.
So it's still, you could do so much with it. And I know that that doesn't sound like much with everything that's happening with AI. And I still think one of the big issues with Android is that it is too much of a blank canvas for a lot of people. You know, they really like the way that Apple presents it for them. They really like the package and everything. They're like, this is great. I'd rather have this than whatever that is. But then there's people like me who like to use automation apps and like to have all these like little smart home things that are turned on, you know, by random devices. Like just the ability to be able to do that makes me very happy because like that's exactly why I'm still using.
Well, it seems like the parity is there on both. There's very little difference when I watch the keynote for this and watch the Apple keynote, and like everybody's talking about, hey man, we have this that does.
Oh, are you talking about like icons and things like that?
I don't, the design I don't care about. The designs come and go. I was in a meeting earlier today where people were working on a game and they were showing one of the designers who was a child when you and I were both working already was talking about digging up old skeuomorphic phone OS designs as a reference point for this game that they're working on. I was like, oh my God, I just turned to dust. People are nostalgic about the wooden bookshelves in iOS.
One of my Gen Z friends got a Fruitager arrow tattoo. Gorgeous tattoo.
Yeah.
But when I realized that was like a really big part of their zeitgeist, I was floored. Anyway,
I don't think I even know what that is, Flo.
Fruitager arrow. Search it. Yes. It's like Windows 8 era.
No, this is Windows XP, isn't it?
No, this is Vista.
Oh, this is like mid 2000s. Yeah.
This is Vista.
Vista. Yeah. Arrow is Vista. It was Luna was XP. Wow, that's wild. Okay, so
side note.
Yeah, no. I'm looking at the list of things that they're rolling out, and none of it's revolutionary. It seems like it's actually almost all. It's like, hey, you can scan your receipts and it'll OCR them all automatically using the power of Gemini, or you can recap a book. You can get Cliff's Notes generated by Gemini, or you can detect scams. And like the thing that I miss about Android, and I'm curious about where it's at, is like, I mean, I switched to Linux last year, and I'm not probably ever going back at this point. Spoilers for the
one of
Diaries
those
finale. Look, I've had the beard for a long time, so I might as well get in there. But it's the beautiful thing about it is that you can make it exactly what you want, right?
Yes,
like
you still can.
The desktop environment, the how the
that's why I thought
works.
About that is because I turned my phone on and I just have the very simple Niagara launcher and yes, my Dutchie. You know.
Yeah, so you can still rip out all of the stuff that you don't want and put whatever you want in. They haven't locked it down to that point at this point.
Not all of them, and people are still doing interesting things, but also the phones are more interesting. Like This one has RGB lights on it. It
I'm
has
probably good.
RGB lights.
Okay, that is pretty
Okay.
sick.
And it has a cooling fan, which you
That's
can
I
maybe
don't.
hear.
Nope, I have enough fans in my life. I don't
Okay, and
want more
I know
fans.
you do. It also has liquid cooling.
Nope, that's too much. Is this a gaming phone? Is this a sick
It is.
gaming phone?
It's the
Okay.
Red Magic 11S. And then I've got the nothing phone here with the time on the back.
Why does that have time on the back?
Why not?
I don't ever look at that side. That's the side for other people to look at.
I know. Well, I put
It
it
has
face
two sevens
down
on it.
and I
Oh,
look at
it's
the
707.
707.
It's 708 now. Did it change?
Yep, you did.
Okay. Is it? See, my phone is the most accurate clock ever made by man because it uses the power of time servers or something. I don't know. So, okay. So was there good stuff on the AI front? Was there stuff that was exciting? This seems like a kind of,
People who have the luxury of being able to afford like an assistant.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yes. And their life, like they get that stuff taken care of. So there's a goal. My understanding is there's a goal that Google is trying to bring this sort of experience to the platform. And I can see what they are attempting because their big thing this last Google I/O was the daily brief. And like I wake up every morning and it basically reads my email and my calendar and my messages and says what's coming up.
I mean, that kind of stuff, that I like to think of that as like interpretive AI, and that feels good to me. Like I realize that there's some fundamental problems with the technology.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie about this.
Does it work?
It works way too well because I gave Google complete access to my personal information for it to be able to do that. So the problem is, and this is where people get sucked in, is because you get into the chatbot and I know this goes beyond Android and I'm sorry. I know AI, a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do interact with the chatbot and the way it will reference private things that I've spoken to it about, because I will talk to it, like I'll use it for like trying to prompt myself so I can write something or whatever. I fed it my Livejournal archives.
What?
This was a bad idea.
Oh, Flo, this is a bad idea.
It's up there. I fed it my Livejournal archives because I'm working on a memoir and it started referencing them in its replies to me. And there was this one point where we were talking about something unrelated and then it said to me, but that's because you're a Hot Topic girl, not an Abercrombie girl, which is something that
that is real.
It is real because I had written it in my Livejournal in the 2000s. And
when they say that everything you ever post on the internet's going to be there forever and it's going to come back to haunt you, I didn't expect you to feed that into the machine voluntarily.
Yeah, this is the HTML files that I extracted and took off the website. Before the Russians bought it. So
yeah.
But then I fed it back into the computer and it's been interesting. I've been very curious to see how personal it's going to get with me with this information of mine. And I've been I'll tell a couple Googlers, yeah, like Gemini and I kind of went a little too far the other day. It's like, yeah.
I made big eyes there. So, okay. So I did this. I didn't send it my Livejournal because I'm too old to have a Livejournal, but I did. I talked about it a couple weeks ago in the episode, but I set up OpenClaw locally and was running local models on it and gave it access, read-only access through the API to my Fastmail email archive, which also gave it my calendar, and gave it, I think, access to Blue Bubbles, but all read-only because I'm nervous about writing. And Blue Bubbles is the thing that lets you get iMessages on Android and iOS and Android and Linux and Windows. So it had text messages basically. And I ginned up my own, hey, every morning at 6 o'clock, give me the rundown of the emails that I need to make sure I don't miss. Cause I'm sure I'm sure you're in a similar situation. I have about 15 email inboxes. All of them occasionally get something important in them, but some of them also get like 500 messages a day that are like 99% spam. And it's a problem to sort through them. And this is this is literally the first time in the last 15 years that I've had a tool that managed that. Since Google killed Inbox, this is the first time I've had a tool that managed that well.
Well, they took the guts and they integrated it into Gmail,
Nope,
and then
they made it worse. Yeah. Look, you're not here so I can. You're not here to take Google's hits. They
No,
they made
I'm
a
not.
choice.
I just I wanted to just also say that my husband had OpenClaw go and scrape for his Livejournal because after the Russians bought Livejournal, yes, the Russians. Sorry, I'm not
There's
saying
a
all
lot.
Russian.
Yeah,
It's not all
yeah.
Russians.
It's
But
a
some
Russian oligarch bought
some
Livejournal,
Russian
right?
people
Yeah.
bought Livejournal and they removed the ability to export the data because that's not in their digital constitution or
Yeah.
whatever. They don't have to offer that. So he sent OpenClaw to go scrape it for him, and they ended up blocking him
Oh, because he hit it
because he sent
too
OpenClaw
fast.
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but the OpenClaw thing, like, it
Just
didn't
FYI
really
for anybody who tries that.
until I rebooted that machine and I hadn't saved my stuff right, so that it saved the memory files and all that, and then I had to recreate all the work, and I haven't done that yet. It was incredible because it gave me a look at like my appointments, what I needed to do to prepare for stuff. It looked at my to-do list. It looked at all that, and it was a legit productivity thing. It was the closest I've ever had to having an assistant, right? Having somebody help me manage my time and the work that I need to do. So I totally get that. I'm also super skeezed out by giving Google access to that same information.
It is. I've sort of offered myself.
I mean, you're doing it for science. That's fine.
And I have been for a really long time. I've been doing this for 15 years, feeding them my data and doing all of this. And
do you ever wonder what their file on you looks like?
I feel like I get inklings, and sometimes I do worry. I sometimes do worry.
They had that Livejournal too, you know.
I know from my husband working in Silicon Valley that it really is just as easy as just going into a folder and saying data.
Yeah.
It's there. So
do you I like that they did the AirDrop thing. That's exciting. Like they added AirDrop support.
They half worked with Apple on that, and then the other half is they just backwards work something to make it work on their end.
That's fun. I mean, I think there's like 3 tiers of AirDrop support on the iOS side. There's like the direct point-to-point one that's kind of iffy, and if you walk away too soon, then the file just disappears into the ether. And then Apple added some newer stuff that basically says, "Hey, here's a token that lets you download this file that the other person will upload as soon as their
like
internet connection."
Pass. Yeah.
It's Street Pass, but with a payload basically.
Yeah.
It's like a malware delivery used for good, not evil. But yeah, it's like, it feels very different than the olden days when you would go to the Android or iOS, and iOS was the same thing, where you go to the new feature page list and it's like, hey, here's 355 new features, and it wasn't like all of them were going to matter to you, but some large percentage of them were things that were like, oh, I actually will use this. Oh, this sounds good. Oh, the game controllers work now. That seems nice. And now it's like, hey, you can get all the dresses that look like this from your shopping app.
No, and yes, that is like a big thing that I think they're trying way too hard to try to get the mainstream because they want what Apple has with influencers so bad. Like, that's why Apple now has more journalists on the campus, is because the influencers were like, you need to let us in. And they had to eventually let them in, and they figured out a way to do that. And Google is very jealous of that. Even when they have tried to give like product to these influencers, the influencers don't end up using any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because there are some reasons, like I love all of the call screening stuff that the Pixel does. For me, that's totally worth that, and the camera algorithms are worth it for me. Just from the Pixel alone.
Tell me about the camera stuff.
Well, just I like the way that see, I'm a little hesitant because I've been liking it up until the Pixel 10 Pro. Things are starting to change a little bit now that they want you to really go into Google Photos and have Gemini.
Oh, soup up your business.
They want Gemini to soup it up.
Okay.
So what they started doing, I noticed this when I reviewed the Pixel 10a. And the Pixel 10a is the budget version of the last Pixel flagship. So
Okay.
the A series is the budget version of
Yeah.
the iPhone E, right?
Okay.
They where was I going with this? They have an actual tuning algorithm when you shoot photos with the 10A because it only has basically like one main sensor.
Oh, so they're
Sensor.
not doing the multi-camera bracketing thing? Yeah, yeah.
But the other thing is it's tuning it a little bit because the photos that I take with the Pixel 10 Pro are very, very plain. They're not very post-processed because they want you to go in and do all of that with Gemini and Google Photos afterwards.
No thanks.
And also, all the stuff that they've been doing with Super Zoom has been not good. The concert pictures that I've been taking this year with the Pixel 10 Pro have not been as nice as I've wanted them to be because
what
the
is
zoom
Super
is so
Zoom?
digital.
Oh, it's digital zoom with AI fill?
It's 100x, yeah, digital zoom.
100x?
Yeah.
That's too much.
Samsung did it with the Galaxy Ultra series, and so Google was like, well, we can do that with Gemini, or whatever, with our AI.
Wait, hold on. How is that different than when Samsung got in trouble for replacing your picture of the moon with their picture of the moon?
The thing is, they still kind of do that.
That's what AI is doing if they're upscaling with AI.
Yes, when you take a picture of an airplane far away, the AI is correcting the lines on that wing for you before you actually see the picture.
Yeah, that's wild. That's a choice. See, okay. This I went and bought an SLR a few weeks ago, and I'm like just taking old school photographs again, like I put manual lenses on it, Flo. I think I'm reverting to the 90s. What's happening.
Taking my 3DS out for a spin. That's like the new thing now to take to shows, by the way.
People street passing again?
Yes, Will.
Really?
Gen Z is bringing the DS back.
Well, okay.
And they film concerts with it, and then they put them on YouTube.
With the 3DS? That's insane. That's not a good
all
idea.
The DSs with the cameras on them.
Yeah. Everybody's DSi finally is useful.
Yeah.
Have you been do you know about the electronics flea market down south? The Bay Area electronics flea market?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I've been going to that for the last few years. It's like the second Saturday of summer months, basically from March to September. For a long time, it was a bunch of people.
I need to go to those. Sorry, I collect Tamagotchi. I should be going to that.
So for the first year or so I went, it was a bunch of guys that looked like me, except for 10 or 15 years older. And it was very much shit that I stole from my office 20 years ago and now need to get out of the garage because I'm cleaning out the garage. And then last year, the year before, we started seeing kids coming in and they were like, hey, does anybody have any mini disc players?
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
And now it's like, it's gone from like one or two kids per every month to like a pretty good cohort. Now they're moving around in gaggles.
Oh, yeah.
And they're looking for like old MP3 players and cassette tape players and
the eBay prices of MP3 players now. I'm trying to like add to my Sony collection. Not a good time. Not a good time for collecting.
I just replaced the battery in my Zune HD the other day. I'm Zuning again. Flo is reaching off screen.
So so first of all, vintage Sanrio tin right here. Well, and then this Sony MP3, which actually, no, I did not have when I started at Maximum PC because my ex-boyfriend wore it when he got in a fight and it got broken. This is a new,
hold on, Flo, was that covered in your Livejournal?
Yes, actually. That it's part of the lore. I've told Andy this story several times about like my deadbeat boyfriends who've broken my gadgets over the years, because I always had gadgets and deadbeat boyfriends, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah, that's a different podcast.
Yeah, that's a different podcast. Anyway, I bought one of the last Sony MP3 players that they made with a removable hard drive and a removable battery.
Oh, nice.
And there's such an incredible modding community now.
Mm-hmm. All of them.
Yeah.
They all have modding communities, like the iPad, the iPod, the Zunes, those bad creative players that were never good, but some people liked.
Excuse me, I had the Creative Zen Vision M.
Yep.
That
Yeah, I
one
know.
works
Yeah,
really
it was.
well.
Yeah. Anyway, the kids are into the old disconnected business and don't want
Yeah,
Spotify or
I
even
I got
Tidal.
myself an MP3 player. I got one of those cheapo ones on Amazon,
Ooh.
and I've been loving the heck out of it. It has Bluetooth 5.3, so
Oh.
it's got really good range, and I am just like I listen to it with my Sonys.
So I fixed the Zune up. I found it when I was cleaning up my office a few months ago, and I was like, oh, the battery's dead. This sucks. And then I started looking at it, and I did the whole thing to fix it. We
And
talked
then you
about
saw the
it.
forums.
Yeah. I look. I went and bought a dodgy battery on AliExpress, and
Yeah.
then it had to do some soldering and I clean out a bunch of weird corrosion, and it's all good now. But it also was like a time capsule of the last time I synced that thing in 2012, which was awesome. And it's lovely to go on walks and not have the phone going beep, 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 beep
I
the whole time.
agree. I've
Yeah.
been really enjoying just going with the music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
So
I started doing the thing where I would be on my daily walks with my head craned in my phone reading social
Mhm.
media. Why are you doing that?
No,
Anyway,
the social media is bad for us, it turns out.
it is.
So okay, back to the topic. What is there anything out of IO that you were like that genuinely made you go, "Oh man, this is really exciting. I'm thrilled about this." Or what made you excited, I guess is maybe the less loaded way to ask that question.
I actually am excited about some of the agency of the
The
AI.
the agent stuff is interesting
I say
in
with a grimace.
asterisk. Yeah, some of it. I think if I was a programmer, I'd probably be more interested. But
Is it, I
that's
agree with you. I agree
it
with
seems
you.
like the one place that it's unequivocally people seem to like, and like not just people like me that don't really know what I'm doing, but like when I talk to people who I consider to be smart programmer types, they're like, oh yeah, this is actually making me more productive.
Well,
Now,
I'm thinking about it from an assistant standpoint because I'm
oh yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about I'm thinking about all the stupid things that I have to take care of, like managing okay, it's not stupid. I love her, but managing my daughter's social life. It's like another thing that I have to manage on top of mine, on top of all the other stuff going on in the suburbs. I'm trying to be a good townsperson. At the same time, I've got a really demanding job and, having the idea of having Gemini Spark that I could kind of tell it, like, I need you to go help me figure out what I'm going to do with 15 kids on this
yeah.
day, like between these two locations in the Bay Area, make sure that nobody has to take 880 to get there. Like the sincerely, the ability to be able to do that, like that's the emotional labor I want to give to AI.
Well, yeah, it's funny. My
That's
wife
the
and I talk about
labor.
this a lot. The
Give me emotional.
cognitive load of being a mom is high and underreported, and she follows. It's funny. She sent me a couple of TikTokers that she follows. And I started watching. I was like, oh Jesus, this is a thing I do, and I don't even realize it. Which is good because knowing is the first part of fixing the problem. It turns out, but yeah, like the managing. I think it's funny. I had a demo a few years ago that was a good pitch, and the demo went really badly. But they were like, hey, have you ever had a barbecue? And I was like, yeah, I used to do that. I used to have people come over to my house every Friday night and we played Rock Band. And then like the cognitive load of that became such a problem. Well, A, if nobody wanted to play Rock Band after a while, but B, the cognitive load of managing what should everybody bring became kind of like a full Friday afternoon job. Um, and like, it's like, oh, okay. Because if you just put up a spreadsheet that's like, hey, we're having a barbecue on Saturday, everybody put down what you're bringing, then you get a whole buttload of LaCroix and a bunch of potato chips and like 3 packages of 2-bite brownies and 1 pack of hot dogs. And there's 30 people around looking at 6 hot dogs like we're going to stab somebody. And if you add in the complexity of scheduling that, so you're like, hey, what weekend can everybody go to a barbecue? And you send that out to 20 people, then you might as well have another job. Like,
It's awful.
yeah. Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah. So I totally get that. And I think like if they can deliver on that, it's a really good thing. And it's not generative. It doesn't feel icky. It feels like an actual positive use of technology to me.
But I did write like the caveat is that you have to give it access to all of your personal information. And I mean, I guess technically you would do that with a human assistant too, but at least the human assistant, you can physically see them and
Yeah, you
how
can
all that
fire them if they
manifests.
annoy you. And Google, I can't
Exactly.
fire. I'm stuck with Google.
And the thing is, they are gonna make a big to do about like, well, you can go in and you can edit stuff and you can say what it has access to. You could tell it to forget stuff, and I think it's because they know that it's a very creepy thing to
But
sell
what are
people
they
on.
like? This is the other time I get to this point, and I ask myself, what are they getting out? Like, are they charging? Is this a paid service? Do you have to pay into Google One to get this?
Not yet.
Yeah. So they're
But
giving us the first
some
taste for free.
services will be put on behind the paywall the
Yeah. So
more intricate they get.
yeah, the more tokens you use, right? Because the tokens ain't free, it turns out.
Yeah.
So I wonder then, when they gave me a gigabyte of storage for email, I was like, oh, okay, this is weird, but I'll take it. I get a lot of mail. It's nice to be able to save images in there, whatever.
You stayed at 1 gigabyte. That's incredible.
No,
Okay.
Do you want to know? It's bad.
No, I don't want to know.
Do you want to know how many unread messages are in my
No,
inbox?
no,
I'll share this
no,
information if you want.
No.
Every month I go through and Control A and then just mark everything red.
It's just they're constantly on me to pay more money. So that's why I was making that joke.
Yeah, I'm at 54% of 2 terabytes used right now. So that includes the photo library, because Google is the online backup for my photos, which
Same.
has been the one Google, like I said, I'm mostly off of Gmail, mostly off of Calendar. I use Google Docs because you can't avoid that working in corporate America at this point.
It's cheaper than Office.
It's cheaper than Office, and unless you're talking to lawyers, it's better than Office, I think, for most everybody. Lawyers always want Microsoft because you mess up their subheads.
They do.
But I don't. Google Photos is the one that I actually like. It's the one Google service that I still actually really like. They do a really good job, better than Apple, of exposing things that aren't going to leave me emotional trauma dealing with, lost family members or pets or whatever.
Oh, really? Mine loves to show me my cat. And I'm like, it's been 6 years.
I had to block. I was like, hey, there's a 3-day period in August that I don't ever want to see pictures of again. Then my daughter probably did something really awesome that time that I'm never going to remember, but that's fine. There's
other awesome things.
It's weird, but it's weird having this huge chunk of memory at the whim of this giant corporate entity. And also the other problem is I'm starting to see a little bit rot in the photos sometimes, and I don't feel good about that. That feels really weird to me, because like the whole point of putting them online and not destroying them with my NAS in the garage is that I expect them to do a better job of that than I can do. And so far it's a little up and down. Some of the old videos don't work anymore. And I'm like, why is that? That's weird.
Bit rot. Man, I haven't even thought about that. That makes total sense, because of course that would happen with CDs and with tapes and all that. So I've been thinking about that too, by the way. Sorry to cut you off. I've been thinking a lot about that too, because I realized the other day that like I've been going to concerts for so long. Okay, so like I'm going to the Warped Tour this summer. I went to the Warped Tour back in the 2000s, but you would have no idea because I took no pictures. All I have is my memory. And I think about now, and I feel like it's hard. Is it harder for me to get things out of my brain because I'm so reliant on the smartphone to sort of capture it for me and fill in the blanks when I need it? Like, did I give my brain this sort of handicap by
over leveraging your tools?
Sincerely, yeah. I've been thinking a lot about that lately, and because I'm 40 now, so I think about these things.
No, that's not possible, Flo. Wow. Okay. Fresh-faced intern Flo. Look, some skills are okay to atrophy. Like, I don't need to know how to nap flint in the modern era, right? I'm good with not knowing that. I took a class one time because I was like, I want to learn how to make flint tools. That seems fun. And I went out and my knuckles were as bloody as they've ever been. It was absolutely miserable. My hands hurt for like 2 weeks afterwards. And I kind of made something with a little bit of an edge that lasted about 30 seconds when I started trying to use it to cut something. So like, then I went and took a milling class and I learned how to use a mill and a lathe. And that, it turns out, is an actual practical skill that I have used off and on, not frequently, but if I need to go into someplace, I can probably start the mill and not hurt someone if somebody reminds me of the safety stuff before I get in, because it all comes back every time I've done that.
Right.
I feel like I used to be, so I went to a ton of concerts in my 20s and 30s, and I got a cell phone when I was 32, I think. I got the first iPhone came out when I was 32, and I was on board immediately. And when I was 35, the iPhone 10 came out, and the photos actually coming out of the phone started getting good. And that was when I stopped kind of carrying a point and shoot camera. Like I had a Canon PowerShot or something that I carried around for years just in my bag or in my jacket pocket. And when the iPhone 10 or iPhone 4 rather came out in 2010, I stopped. Those pictures were good enough. And from that time forward, my memories are mostly related to the photos I've taken with the smartphone. From that time previous, my memories are things that I remember doing and thinking about. And there are a handful of pictures, but it's definitely like, hey, I took 18,000 pictures the year my kid was born, and I took 300 pictures in 2007, right? And it's both a huge data problem, because like realistically of those 18,000 pictures, there's probably 300 that are really good. And I don't am I ever going to go through 18,000 pictures and pick out the 300 that are good? Probably not. So I need something to surface that for me and hopefully avoid the bit rot at the same time. So we'll see how that goes.
Man.
Anyway.
Got existential. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, mortality's a real motherfucker.
Yeah.
What, anything else? Anything else? Like what they talked about the audio glasses? Did you get to try those?
Yes, I did.
Do they have a camera?
Yes, I was one of the first people to try those out back in December. Which I actually felt very like I was very excited to be invited to that, because I've been really wanting Android smart glasses.
Okay.
I want an alternative. I like the Meta Ray-Bans for using them for what I would be using them, which is my first person hiking, which is like listening to music that way, which is maybe asking a question about like what I'm looking at while I'm hiking. That's sort of what I'm interested in the glasses for. I'm not interested in using Meta to do that. I'm more interested in using who I've already given all my personal information to, which is Google.
You got a sunk cost there, so you might as well go lean in.
Exactly. So like, can we just stick with one,
Yeah. One faceless multinational corporation.
Yeah.
What were they good? Like, what was the experience? Is it the same as the Meta glasses?
It's similar to the Meta glasses. I would say they were a lot lighter. And
to be clear, we're talking about the Meta glasses, not the ones with the screens, just the ones with the camera and
I'm just
speakers,
talking about the regular old Ray-Ban Meta Wayfarers that you can buy right now very easily. That's the pair that I have. And then I am really looking forward to, so I got to wear the Warby Parker version of the glasses.
Okay.
Not into that, because not into that whole aesthetic. The Gentle Monster version that is coming out this fall, I am on the wait list.
Oh.
They're very feminine. They have like a little sort of like
they're like a little cat eye almost.
Yes, a little bit more opal, or more oval, I should say. And then they have the cameras in them, of course. But I like the fact that they just look so chic.
Can you do
like them.
Can you do camera stuff with those that doesn't rely on like the Meta glasses? I think one of the things that I was conceptually, for me, they were interesting to like, hey, it would be cool to do a cooking live stream where you have the glasses on your head, because like I follow Kenji Alt Lopez, and he straps a GoPro on his head and then live streams that from his kitchen, and he's looking down. And like having hands-free access to a camera is super, like, look, I had a pair of Google glasses 100 years ago, and it was great because I could take pictures of things and I could shoot video of things that traditionally are pretty hard to shoot video of. Right?
I remember you were one of the original people to really be gung-ho about Google Glass, and I remember
I pissed away a lot of tested contribs budget on stupid things, and that was probably the most expensive of them, but I don't know for sure. So yeah, can you like do live streams off of those? Are they going to let you hook those up to Twitch? Or are you going to be able to, I assume YouTube you'll be able to stream to?
Not yet. I
Okay.
recall vaguely, like 3 Meta Connects ago, or maybe it was 2, that they said that they were going to do something similar on the Ray-Bans. The thing is, it's all contingent on the phone in your pocket
Oh,
to be
because it
able
all
to
goes
do
through the
that sort of
phone.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the batteries right now are not so good. And also, the Ray-Ban Metas, for example, they were overheating on my head
Oh, that seems like a bad experience.
because it was very hot outside at the shoreline, and so I was
Yeah.
using them to take a little B-roll of me walking through, to send to the social team, and then when I click the button, it goes, "Sorry, device is too hot right now."
It does get hot down at Shoreline.
Yeah, but I was really surprised at how hot the sunglasses got because I had put them, like, taken them off to put atop of my head, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the sun was directly hitting them. And I started
Oh,
thinking about it, like, huh,
it seems like a usability problem they should have caught in
yeah,
the development
that's what
process.
I was, yeah, is
Because like you don't wear sunglasses when it's 40 degrees out usually. You wear them when it's hot and sunny and like it's going to get warm.
exactly. Well,
Yeah. So the Google ones are coming. The Warby ones are out now, or
no,
they're
they're
coming
coming out
soon.
this fall.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were just basically showing like pre-release hardware
Okay.
at Google
And
I/O,
the same functionality as the Meta stuff, basically.
pretty similar, except you can do
Okay.
extra stuff like take a picture of something and then have Nano Banana draw something for you on it.
That doesn't sound good, Flo.
And then send it off in a message.
That also sounds. I mean, the message part sounds okay, but the Nano Banana bit, I don't think I'm ever going to get behind. This has been fun. Thank you for coming on. on the Nano Banana note, I'm gonna write
It's very interesting where we are now versus where we were just 10 years ago. So
I mean, so this is, you've done this for 6 years less than I have, or 7 years less than I have at this point, I think.
yes.
For me, maybe a little bit more than that, but the point is, it's hard. There was a period of time where I was very enthusiastic about it because it felt like things were getting better. I for a long time, having a smartphone felt kind of like a superpower, right? Because you could do things that other people couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I haven't had that feeling from technology in a long time. It's just kind of an impending sense of dread about a lot of the things that are coming down the line. The assistant thing actually sounds really good. Like that sounds like an actual measurable improvement but it also seems a little bit weird because, hey, the problem of the deluge of information and like the proliferation of messaging applications and like, hey, I'm getting too much spam and all of these are all problems that were created by these companies. And now they're like, hey, we have something else we can sell you that's going to fix your problem that we created for you.
It's almost like there's a system built.
It's like the simulation is overheating and we're on somebody's forehead in the yeah, anyway.
Exactly, at the shoreline, correct.
Yeah, the space shoreline. Yeah, exactly. Next dimension up. Flo, where can people find you? Where can people find your work?
I mean, you can find me at pcmag.com, but really you can find me at florencelion.com. So that'll have links to all my podcasts and everything that I do. And that's a good place to find me.
I don't listen to your Android podcast as often as I should, but I love your podcast with Andy. Andy's one of my all-time favorites. He's an absolute gentleman. He took me on a tour of Boston 100 years ago when I was there one time, and we walked around and had a delightful time, and then had a slice of pie, and it was one of the all-time.
That's an Andy date. That's exactly an Andy date.
He was like, let's go look at some cool sculpture. There's some cool statues. We're going to check out the library. And then there's a dope diner.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm going to go and tell you, damn good pie. So if Andy ever says, hey, you want to go get some pie?
Oh, I know.
Andy.
Andy's taken me to the opera. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, well, he didn't offer
opera,
that.
So.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Well, I have only been podcasting with him for 9 years, so.
I assumed you put that in the Livejournal too, so I don't know.
Yes. Behind a paywall.
Thanks, Flo. We'll have to have you on again sometime soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming by, Flo. It's a pleasure to chat and catch up and talk about the weird state that Android is in and what Google's doing with AI and the places that AI is weird and good and bad and interesting and scary. So we'll have to have you on again sometime in the not too distant future. this is the part of the show where I thank everybody for listening and supporting the show. As always, Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod is a listener-supported show. We would not be here without you, the listener. So if you would like to find out how you can support the show, you can go to patreon.com/techpod, where for $5 a month, you gain access to the patron exclusive Discord. You get the monthly end of month patron Q&A episode, or sometimes it's not a patron Q&A episode. Sometimes it's just an exclusive where we talk about projects and upcoming things and things that we're interested in, but maybe don't think warrant a full episode. We don't take ads. So this is the only way we make money on the show. We appreciate the folks who chuck in a couple bucks to support us. And at the end of the month, we read the names of a whole bunch of people. Again, the address, if you want to find out how to get on this list, is to go to patreon.com/techpod. Again, it's patreon.com/techpod. And I'm going to start with our executive producer tier patrons, starting with James Kamek, David Allen, Octothorpe Bunnyfiend, Jordan Lippett, Infelicitous Rips, and Pantheon, makers of the HS3 high-speed 3D printer. I also, since it's the end of the month, want to throw a special shout out to our associate producer tier patrons, including Thomas Shea, Ryson, Jad Rita, P. Tibbs, Steve Lynn, Nathan Phelps, Ben Tallman, Tom Hilton, Andre M. Burke, P.E., Andrew Dicey Scholdice, Alejandro Navarro, Matt Walker, parentheses Walkman 8080, Sanchit Kumar, Felix Kramer, Kerp, Brutal Kerfuffle, and Eric. Thank you all so much. We appreciate each and every one of you. And thanks everybody for your support. Thanks to everybody who supports the show. We really appreciate each and every one of you, and hope that you're enjoying what we're doing. We will do a question and answer episode when Brad's back. I might do some questions for the patron exclusive episode. So if you have questions and you're a patron, you can go to the question seeking answers channel in the Discord, chuck them in there, and we will absolutely get to them when we can. And if not on the patron exclusive episode, then when Brad returns. But thank you all so much, and we'll be back next week. As always, please consider the environment before printing this podcast.